Welcome back to Kiwin's Lab IT Console. In today's video, we're going to be talking about a particular tool, and this tool is found in both Windows operating system as well as Linux operating system or Kali's operating system. So now, these are the things that we're going to be covering within this video. We're going to be talking about what Netcat is. After that, we will move on to talk about the modes of Netcat. We will then talk about the usages of Netcat, and then we are going to have a live demonstration of how to use Netcat. Without wasting time, let's begin. Now, first on the list, what is Netcat? Now, Netcat is nothing but Netcat is a command line utility that is used for reading and writing data between two computer networks. So if there are two computers next to us and you want them to communicate, then what you need to do, we can use Netcat to perform this particular function, telling us that it doesn't have a graphical user interface, but rather it has the command line interface. So that is how Netcat is. So Netcat is just a command line utility that is meant for reading and writing data between two computer networks. So that is Netcat. Now, the form of this form of communication happens using either TCP or UDP. We talk about TCP, we are talking about a connection-oriented protocol, whereas UDP is connectionless-oriented protocol. If I'm saying TCP, I'm trying to tell you that using TCP, that means that you're going to have a reliable network connection, whereas UDP, you won't have a reliable network connection. So that is the Netcat. So Netcat, in simple terms, is just a command line utility that is meant for reading and writing data between two computers. And we said that the mode of communication happens between either using TCP, or you can go in for UDP. So these are the two modes, or these are the two ways you can communicate between these computers. Alright, so let's see some of the uses. So we can decide to use Netcat for chatting, we can use it for file transfer, we can use it for post scanning, as well as remote connection. So all these are some of the things you can use Netcat to perform. So that is some of the things that Netcat can do. So Netcat can be used for chatting, it can be used for transferring files, it can be used for scanning the network, as well as remote connection. So all these are some of the examples of Netcat. So now let's move on to the modes of Netcat. Now there are two modes of Netcat. The first mode is a client, and the second mode is a listener. So as you can see from here, the client always initiates the connection with the listener, and then when that happens, the listener also will listen for the connection on a specific port. So these are the two modes. So one each initiates and the other also listens. So these are the only two modes that we have for Netcat. Now if you get into the demo environment, you get to understand what I'm trying to talk about here. So don't worry so much about this, but remember that there are two modes. One will be doing the initialization, and one will be doing the listening. So that's why we have the client. So it's just like, you can call it like a client and a server. So one does the initiation and one does the listening. Alright. Okay, so let's see the command options or how to use Netcat. So these are some of the command options we have. So the command option for Netcat is that just type Netcat or NC. Now if you are in a Windows environment, in Windows environment we use what we call NC, but if you are in a Linux environment, you have to use Netcat in full. Spell Netcat in full. So we're going to go for the demo very soon so that you get to understand what I mean by Netcat or the NC. So just put in NC, you bring a space and then some options you want to provide, the target IP address and the port number of that particular target IP. So that is what we need to do. So let's see examples of these. So these are some of the flags that we have. So we have -I that tells the Netcat to be in a listening mode. So you want to put your Netcat into the listening mode, then you can decide to go for the I. Remember we said there are two modes. One will be doing the listening and one will be doing the initiation. So you can put it in the listening mode by typing Netcat, then the option is -I to perform that test. We also have the U that is going to shift the mode from either TCP or to UDP. By default, it will be in the TCP mode. So you can decide to switch it from the TCP mode to the UDP mode. Remember that the default mode is always kept in the TCP mode. You can also decide to use it to set port to listen on. So the port number you want to listen on, you can decide to use the -P option, and that can help you perform such tasks. We have the E, which is used for setting up payloads. After you have gained full access to your client system or into the target system, you then can set up a payload. And I believe that in our previous videos we saw payloads, creating payloads and other stuff. If you haven't watched videos on payloads, getting remote access or backdoor access to Windows system and the rest, you can go for my other previous videos to get more insight on payloads. You also have the L, which makes persistent listening mode. We have the WN, that is used to define the timeout, when it should expire, the timeout, the duration. And we have the verbose mode, or the V, which was verbose, and it's going to give out detailed information about whatever is going on using Netcat. So we're going to be seeing much more about this when you keep it in practical world. So don't worry, we're going to have a live demo, then you get to understand what I meant by some of these options you see there. So stay with me as we move into the demo and practice Netcat. So you have to power on your Kali server. So I have my Kali server up and running. So you can also set up yours. So you have to power on your Kali server. So I have my Kali server up and running. So get yours also kicking. Then the next thing you do is to locate or get Netcat downloaded on your Windows system, because we're going to perform the communication between two systems. Remember that we said that one of the functions of Netcat is for chatting. So we're going to establish the communication between the two devices, that is the Windows operating system and then my Kali system. So this is Windows 11. So you can see from here I have my Windows 7 running, Windows 11 running. So what I want to do is that I have to install Netcat on my system, and then at the same time I already have it installed. So by default Netcat is already installed on Kali, but if it's not installed, you can just run sudo apt. So let me increase the terminal. So you can just type sudo apt, and then you input here install and then Netcat. But I already have it installed, so it's not going to install. So you can see I already have it installed, so there's no need installing it again. So I have Netcat already installed, so I don't have to worry myself installing it once again. So I'm just going to clear the screen by typing clear. Sorry. Good. So you have to go ahead to download this package you see here, Netcat version 1.1. So where can you get it downloaded? So let me visit the site for you to see where you can get it downloaded. So you can visit this site to get it downloaded. You just have to click on this button. So I just have to click on it, and you see right there it will be downloaded for you. Then you have to extract this file, then you'll be able to execute that. So I've already downloaded and extracted, so I'm going to show you where I downloaded it to. So you can get it downloaded, just open it, and then you can see what I just downloaded. So you just have to extract this from here. At the top, see you have extract, so you can extract it and you're good to go. So all I did was that I just copied this one and then I moved it into a different location. So let's check it out. So I'm going to post this link in the description so that you can get it also downloaded. So I'll post this link, or I'll share this link in my video description so that you can get it downloaded as well. So when you come in there, you just have to click on this button, Netcat 1.11, and it's going to get it downloaded for you onto your Windows system. So once that is done, now I have moved, so I just have to right click, or that's what I did, and then I selected this option, copy, and I dropped it right under video. So if I scroll to the very top from here, I kept mine under videos. So right here I created a folder called Netcat, and then I dropped this zip file here. So once you have the zip file here, you just select your zip file, click on extract, and to be extracted right onto the location you find yourself. After extraction, I got this. So that's the file that I have in here. So all that I have to do after instruction is double click and open this. You see the source files here. Then right in here, you click in the search button from here, right there. Then you type CMD. Once you type CMD, Netcat is going to pop up. So you can see I have Netcat. So now I can close everything now. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to be comparing and contrasting these two screens. So this is for my Windows platform. So let me close everything here, and then close this also, and then close this as well. Okay, so then I'm going to drag it to the side, and then I'll release it. So now I have both my Netcat running on both Kali as well as on my Windows system. So in order to work on this, you have to know the IP address of your Kali server, and remember they should be on the same network before they can communicate. So now I'm going to check my IP address by typing ifconfig. So after typing ifconfig, I was able to identify my IP address to be 10.0.2.1. So let me click on this plus sign from here and check my IP address also for my Windows side. So I'm just going to type ipconfig. So ifconfig is for Windows and ipconfig is for ifconfig is for Kali, and then ipconfig is for Windows. So you can see also I have my IP address here, 10.0.2.11, telling us that now they can communicate. How sure are we? We have to just ping it to see if they can really communicate. So I'm just going to type ping, then I'll input the IP address of this Kali server. So I'm going to put the 10.0.2.12, and you can see I'm getting reply telling me that my Windows client system can communicate with my Kali server. Now let's ping it from the client side. I'm going to clear the screen, but I can also combine Ctrl plus L to clear, or I can type clear in full. Whichever way, it will still clear the screen. So the next thing I have to type here is to ping the Windows platform also, which is 10.0.2.11. And then we test it out, and you can see that one too is perfectly working. So telling us that now both parties can now communicate among themselves. So now we can now use our Netcat to perform our chatting right there. So let me clear this one to the screen. So here on Windows, the CLS will clear the screen on the terminal or on the command prompt end, and then on the terminal from your Kali side, you have to type clear in full in order to clear the screen. So now I'm going to close this and come back to my Netcat. So now we know the IP address of my Kali server to be 10.0.2.11, right? I hope it's right. So let's see once again. So we said the IP address was 10.0.2.12. Okay, so .12 is for my Kali, and then 11. So let me just quickly run it again, just in case we forget. We just reference it. So IP config, and then let's drag it to the top, and that's the IP address you see right here. And the data's name is called Keki. That's what is communicating with this interface. So all that I did for my Kali side is to change my adapter to network, so host only. So I came to machine, selected settings, and then I went straight to network, and then I selected host only, and then I chose this adapter. So this adapter is what is communicating with this interface. So that's what I did. Okay, so you can do that as well. But the most important thing is that they should be on the same network. So that's what I did, and I made my system to be on the same network. So you can see it right up there. Okay, so that is that. Okay, so now let's go back to so now that we know the IP addresses for all, so Ctrl plus L to clear the screen from here. So now we need to perform the initiation. We need to establish the listener, so that Kali can be able to listen to the conversation that comes from our system here over there. So let's see. So now the command we need to type, remember we said that when you're on the Windows side, you can type NC, or you need to type NC for Netcat. Then I'm going to put -H for help. This gives me the usages of this option. So we have -E as we explained in the presentation. We said -E is for inbound program to execute. So we're going to be using, and it says it's very dangerous. So we come back to that later on. We have gateway, we have N. So what we'll be using, we need what we call N. So the N is going to it says it's going to perform numerical values only. So only numerical IP addresses, and it's going to skip DNS. So no DNS resolution is going to be performed right here. So DNS resolution is going to be skipped. We don't want DNS to be resolved over here. So we are going to go for -n. That will go for only numerical IP addresses only. We are also going to go for L. That is going to set our device into a listening mode for inbound connect, so that both PCs, both the Kali server and the Windows system, can communicate among themselves. Then the next thing we need is a verbose mode. Remember, we said that if you want to get more details about whatever is been happening, verbose mode is going to help us perform such action. So now let's see what we can do now. So what we need to do is to type netcat, or that is NC, and after typing NC, you need to produce all the values as I said. So the first thing that we said we needed is what? We don't need to resolve the no DNS reservation is needed, so I'm going to put -n, and then I'll introduce all the things that we spoke about: the V for verbose mode, and then L for listening mode, and then P for the port. Then we bring the space, then the port number you want to assign for this transaction. So I'm going to provide the IP, the port number, let's say 2000. So I just provided port number 2000 right there, and I execute. So once I do that, it says that it's listening on any of the ports that is between 2000. So now, once that the connection has been established and the listening mode is now set on my client side, I can now go to the server, that is the root, to also communicate with it there. So now it is waiting for the Kali server to also come online, so that they can communicate among themselves. So what I have to do is, on my Kali server, I need to type netcat. After typing netcat, I have to put -nv. That's the only option that we need, and then we provide the IP address. As you can see, 10.0.2.11 was the IP address for my Windows system, and then you need to provide a port. Remember, the port should be exactly the same thing you kept during the initialization on the client side, which is 2000. So I have to provide the same thing here, so 2000 right there. Execute this, and now we are in now. So you can see now it says that connect to 11, and here too it says connect to 11 2000 Cisco Scarp, and it's open. And this one, that's the port that is going to use for the conversation. And you can see that now it is now communicating with 12, and the 12 is this system, that my Kali server, and then the 11 is my Windows operating system. So now that we are in here, what I have to do, anytime I input some text on the screen, the end user or whoever is on the other side will be able to see whatever I'm typing. So now the chatting mode is now enabled for the two ends. So if I just type hello from my Windows end and I execute, the one on my Kali side also can see it directly. On my Kali side, I can also type hello, and you can see that one also appears on the other side. So on the Windows side, it's communicating perfectly with the Kali server. So you can see hello, how are you doing, and then you can see instantly it shows right there. So this is how to set up the communication mode, to set up a listening mode for both Kali and then your Windows operating system to be able to communicate. So that is how to enable chatting between the Kali server as well as your Windows operating system. We are going to be seeing how to share files between these two devices. Remember, we said one of the functions of Netcat also is for file sharing. You've seen one aspect of it, that's the chatting aspect. So now we are moving on to the sharing of files between the Windows system and then Kali server. So now this is the last thing we need. So let's cancel it now. Ctrl+C to get rid of this, and then clear the screen. CLS for Windows side, and then Ctrl+L for the Kali side. So that one is taken care of. So now what we're going to be doing, the same command we typed earlier on is the same thing we're going to put for the client side. That is the Windows system. So let's go for the same thing. This time around, I would like to change the port to, let's say, 1000. So I would like my port to be 1000. So NC, and then we put the same options right there. Then we put port number 1000 over there. Then all we need to do next is to just execute this from here. But before we execute, what we want to do is, before even we execute from this end, let's go to the Kali side, because we want to share some document or some test file from my Kali server over there. So how do we do that? So in order to do that, you have to first create a test file or a test document you want to share. If I type ls, I have some test files that is already on my system already, like pass.txt, password.txt, kin.txt, and the rest. So we are going to create our own test file. Then we will share it on a network for this client system to be able to access it with the use of what? Netcat. So let's see how to do that. So in order to create a file, you can decide to use echo to create it. You can also decide to use the touch file also to do the same. So that one depends on you. So we want to use touch. So I'm going to type touch, and then I'm going to use let's say to be any test name, any name at all you want to say. So let's say pass, so pass.txt. That's the file that I want to share. So I'm going to execute this file, execute it, and you can see that the file will be created called pass. Then we are going to use a text editor, either Nano or Vim, whichever way you prefer to use, whichever is, that's okay. So I'm going to use the VI editor. It's a text editor that you can use for modifying or putting some text onto this empty text file. So I'm going to bring var VI or Nano, then I'll bring a space, then the name of the, so that was pass.txt, then execute. Here I have to input I for insert, then I'll input some text. Hello, this video is for educational purposes. So let's put that, that's all that I have to put in here. So with Vim, once you're done typing, press and then escape, and then shift button plus column, then you put in WQ. WQ means save and quit. Then I'll come out of it. Now type ls now. My pass.txt is there, so I'm going to check whether it's there or not. Let's clear the screen once again. So ls once again, then we type cat and then the name of the file. This is pass.txt. Execute this, and you can see we have kept some item in there. So that is the content that we dropped in there. Remember that you can also use Nano, so I would have typed Nano, just type Nano, and then you bring a space, the name of the file as well, pass.txt, and then it takes you to Nano. So in here you can just add some text. Just say please be careful. Let's do that. That's all that we want for now. So once you're done, you can see over here, down here, the options you see at the top tells out that you have to press Ctrl on your keyboard and the options over here. That will perform whatever is written here. So if I want to save whatever I've done using Nano, then I have to press Ctrl plus O. That will write out whatever I've added here, so that to be saved as part of the existing file that I did using VI. So I'm going to press Ctrl plus O, and then it says write out, and the name of my test file is pass.txt. It is so. If it is so, press enter, and it tells you that 2 lines has been written. So now once you're done, press Ctrl plus X, and then it executes out. Now if you type cat and the name of the file, now we should see the new test file that is added, and that was what we added some extra text, that is please be careful. So you can decide to use Vim editor, or you can use Nano editor, whichever. There are so many editors you prefer. Any editor you prefer to perform these tasks, you can go ahead and do that. You can even use the graphical mode at the very top here. We have the text editor right here, that is the mouse pad, and here you can put any text file you want to keep in here. Then after you're done, you just have to click on file and then go for save as, then choose where you want to save it to, and then you could do it. So you can see this one will save on pass.txt. I can also give this one a new name or a name, and let's say I want to call this one tt or kk.txt. Once I click on save, it will be saved for me. So if I close this one out and then check for my terminal, type ls, you can see was it kk? Yes, kk. So if I just hit on cat kk.txt, you can see that I have that text also there. So you can start to use a graphical as well. That's mouse pad for you. So let's clear the screen once again. So the screen has been cleared for now. So now we have it up and running. So the file we are working with is for pass.txt. We want to transfer this file to my client system, that's Windows 11. So how do we do this? So now that we have the test file we want to send out across, then we have to go ahead to my Windows client side, type nc, and then put the options, the MVLP, and then the port number you want to listen on to. So we are going to go for port number 1000, and then it says that listening on any. So we are waiting for the file to be sent. But before we do this, let's cancel it out for now. Let's run it again. So what we need to do now, after the port number, this time around we're going to introduce something else. We're going to introduce this option. So the option is that we want to receive whatever the client system or whatever the Kali server sends to us. We want to receive this content. So what we need to do is to use this symbol. So once I use this symbol, it simply means that whatever is going to be sent from my Kali server, please drop it or save it onto this particular name I'm going to put there. So I want it to receive it, and then I want it to be called sent or pack2.txt. So what this is going to do is that the moment I send this pass.txt across, it's going to drop the content within this test file. So to create this test document on my system, and then once it gets created, it will drop the content of pass.txt in that. And then if you go in there, you should also see the same content that we saw when we executed our cat.pass.txt. So then we'll be able to view the content in there, pack2.txt. So that's what we're trying to do now. So let's clear the screen from here again. So now on the Kali side, now that we have initiated this, remember the port. Always remember your port. So let's execute this now. Don't forget the port number you chose here, because if you interchange or you give a wrong port, the port you give here does not correspond with this Kali side, then they will not communicate, or the transaction will not going to happen. So on my Kali side, I need to type netcat as we typed earlier on. Now this time around, what I'm going to do is that I have to type netcat-mv, then the IP address of the system I want to connect to. That's my Windows system, and that's IP 2.11. And once that is done, now we saw the symbol at the first time. This was the symbol. That symbol is going to receive whatever text it is. This time around, we want to send. So in order to send, we have to change the direction of the arrow. So we have to point the arrow to this direction. That means that it's going to send. And what are we sending? We are sending pass.txt. So this is going to send pass.txt across. And once it sends it across, it will drop the content into pack2.txt. And if you go into pack2.txt, you should see the content of what? Pass.txt. That's what this is going to help is going to perform. And then don't forget the port number. Remember here the port number was 1000, so I have to do the same thing. Clear this one to 1000, and then I'm good to go. So 30. So execute this, and it is transferring this file. Now the bad side of Netcat is that Netcat will not be able to tell us that the file that is being transmitted has been sent successfully. So all that we need to do is to wait for a while, and then we check to see whether it has been sent or not. So this is a test file. We assume that it's not a very big file, just a small file. So I'm assuming everything is done at the moment. So I'm going to cancel it out by pressing Ctrl+C, either on the Kali side or on my Windows side, whichever way. So I'm going to press Ctrl+C. So once that is done on your client side or on the Windows environment, just type the command dir to list the content. If you were to be in the Kali world, just type ls. So the alternative of ls in Windows is dir. Type dir, execute this, and look through. You should be able to see the name of the file we called pack2.txt. Are you seeing pack2.txt? We have it right there. Now, so if you check the content, you should be able to view the same content as what we have here, cat pass.txt. So now I'll just type the same name here, pack2.txt, and we should be able to view the contents of pack2. So we can see we have it here. So let's close it out once again, or let's leave it. Let's cancel it out. So what we can do is to rerun it once again, pack2, and then you can see we have our content right here. So we've seen how to download, or we've seen how to send across the file that we want to share among ourselves. So that is how to go with it. Alright, so what we did is we first created our test file by using touch or nano. So we said you can use touch or nano. So we type, the first command was touch, and then we give the name of the test file you want to give. And once we were done, we chose to use vim and then pass.txt, and then we added the content by pressing I insert. And then once we were done, we press escape. So we press escape when we were done typing our test. Then we said control shift plus column, then type the q for save and quit, and we came out of it. We said you can also use nano and then the name of the file, and then you could just input the text. Once you're done, you save by pressing Ctrl plus O, and if you're done saving, Ctrl plus S to come out of it. And once that is done, we need to just send the file across. Sending the file across, we said the first thing you need to do is the first type this command ncnvlp 1000 as the port, and then we are appending this symbol. So when we said we are supposed to receive the content that will be transferred from this end, so this one will send the item using this arrow, backwards arrow, and this one is going to receive it into pack2.txt. So this is how to transfer files from the Kali server to our Windows server. Alright, so let's see the third function of Netcat as we spoke about. We said that the third function of Netcat, there are many functions, but we chose to talk about just 3. So you've seen how to communicate with end devices. So we've seen how to communicate with end devices, and we also called it what, chatting. So we're able to chat between the Windows system and then the Kali server. We went ahead also to share files. So we saw that we created some file on the Kali server, then we shared it across for my Windows system to be able to access the file. So the last thing we would like to perform is to gain backdoor access using Netcat. Remember, this video is for educational purposes, so make sure that the devices you're going to work on, or the devices you're going to run these two on, make sure that you own that devices yourself. Okay, so now let's move on. So we're going to create a backdoor access with Netcat. So in order to create a backdoor access with Netcat, let's run the help command for Netcat once again. So nc-h, that's for help. Now this is what you're going to be introducing. You're going to introduce E, and then the program that we want to execute. So we are going to be using cmd so that we can access the interface of my terminal right here, or of my command prompt interface over here on my Windows system. We want the same interface you see here to appear on my Kali server, so that I can gain full access and I can manipulate the Windows system. So what we need to do then, let's clear the screen once again, but get note of what, the E, because we're going to inbound program to execute on the terminal. So let's clear the screen once again. So I'm going to clear the screen, CLS to clear the screen. Then we type the same command once again, nc, and then our options, nlvp, then you bring a space, and then the port number you want to listen to. So this time around, the port number we would like to go for, let's say 2500. Then you bring a space, and once that is done, you introduce the E, and then what program do you want to use on your Kali server? We would like to use cmd, so I'm just going to put there cmd.exe. So you want to run that command. At the end of the day, you want that command line interface to be available on my Kali server, because we are dealing with terminal, so we prefer to use it command line. You can also use programs that exe files, anything at all. It can be a software that you would like to share across whichever way you want to do. That one is up to you. But we would like to use the command line interface so that we can gain backdoor access. Okay. Then I'm going to execute this, and it's waiting and it's listening. So the next thing we need to do here is to also type the same thing here: netcat mv, the IP address, then the port number that we chose to listen into. So the port number which I've chosen for my client side was 2500. Make sure it corresponds with whatever you have on your client side and then the Windows side. So once you have it there, bring a space. That is all. When we execute this, we should be able to gain access to our Windows system. So let's try. Execute this, and you can see, just as you saw earlier on, I've gained full access. So you can see that that's the client system, drive C. You have it there, drive C /users George, and you can see I've gained full access to this particular system, and you can see whatever is there. So if I type now, if I type DR, you should be seeing the same content I was seeing right there. So I have gained full access. Full access. Remember, if you know much about the use of command line interface, then it's going to be interesting in here, because you have gained backdoor, so you have full control of the system, but you can control that using the terminal or using the command line interface. So let's see. Let's clear the screen. So you see, if I use the clear the screen, as you all know, it's not working for me because I'm no more, though I'm in Kali, but the interface that I'm in now, I'm in Windows interface. So I have to work in the interface of Windows. So remember, in Windows we said you have to type clear CLS to do that, and you see it just cleared the screen for me. If I type clear in full and execute, it says cannot be found because it cannot function that way, because I'm no more using the interface that I found myself in. I'm not in terminal, so it's not going to work because I'm in the Windows world. You see, it just cleared the screen for me. And then I can use the command mkdir. So mkdir, and then mkdir is for creating files and folders. So I'm just going to create a folder called I have hacked you. I put it in quotes or leave it as it is. It will create I have hacked you as one, and is down. Type dir, confirm here, and you can see I is there, have is there, hacked is there, and then you also is there. So you can see you can also delete an item from here. Remember, we created a file called pack2.txt. We received it onto our system, so let's delete that. So we can just type del, and then the name of the file you want to delete, that is pack2. So let's type it. So del, and then pack2.txt. Execute this, and you can see I have deleted this item. So if I type dir, you'll not be able to see pack2.txt. So that is how to work with it. So now I've gained access. So the use, if you know much about the use of command prompt, then you can have endless usages of what this particular tool. So these are the 3 items Netcat can help us perform. We said that Netcat can help us perform chatting, Netcat can help us share files, and also Netcat can help us share it can help us get backdoor access to a client system. There are other functions also, but we decided to limit ourselves to just 3. I hope this video was very useful. Please don't forget to subscribe and also share with your friends so that they can also benefit from these videos. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Bye bye.